Hi Internet, this is a tutorial on how to crack open a Game Boy cartridge. This is Pokemon Crystal for the Game Boy Color. Now the problem here is that the save battery inside the cartridge has died. So what we need to do is we need to put another one in there. And basically all the materials you're going to need. I got a screwdriver to get that pesky screw out of there. Now it's not the same size. It's not a Phillips head or a flathead. It's kind of their own manufacturer version. So I just took a flathead screwdriver, a very small one actually, and just kind of chipped away at one of the corners and tried to just really pushed it until it started turning loose, and then I just pried it out. Otherwise, we've got our soldering iron, we've got our extra battery, our replacement battery, and that's a 3-volt battery. That's CR2025, and I grabbed a lithium one, so I will never have to ever do this again for the Crystal game. If you take a look at the metal strip there, that's the lead, which I'm going to try to reuse. It's a very thin metal. I'm surprised it didn't break apart into many pieces when I was prying it out. So what we're going to do is just solder this lead onto the board. You can get this .01. Much smaller, and I think it will work a little bit better for what we're dealing with. And then we're going to slip the battery in there. And to hold the battery down, I might use a little bit of duct tape. Otherwise, I might try soldering the top of it. We'll see how that works. So you can see here we have the main components of the Game Boy game. You've got its motherboard, and then of course the screw that goes in it, the battery that goes there, and the little metal strip that I pulled out sort of accidentally, and that's the lead that goes over the battery to complete the circuit. As you can see, the other strip is already built into the bottom of the motherboard. So the trick here is that the screw that's on the back of the Pokemon Crystal case, you got this little guy who has a very odd-shaped head. It's not a normal screw. It doesn't have any divots for a flathead or a Phillips. There's some kind of special tool that you need. Otherwise, I just used this small little flathead, where basically what you want to do is just get this started, and then just catch one of the divots in the screw, and just keep pushing it counterclockwise. Until the screw pops out. And then I got frustrated, so once I got a little bit of it up, I just pried it out. So you want to be careful when you're doing that. Otherwise, taking it out is pretty simple. You just get the case and then slide it down. You make sure to slide it down. Don't just try to pry it off, otherwise you're going to break something and it's never going to fit right again. So we're just going to get rid of that top piece. And basically what you have here is just the regular chipboard, and you can pop that out. Now I've already opened this up, obviously, and I've removed the battery, which is on the top right, which go right there. And then so here's the battery, and the battery, normally will go on here. And the other thing I noticed is that this little strip of metal is from the part where they solder it in, and then it goes across the battery, kind of like that. That end. That's the positive end, and then the negative end's already into the motherboard there. So basically what you have to do is you kind of have to pry it off. I did the best job I could without trying to remove that strip from the motherboard, but it kind of happened anyways. So now I'm going to require a soldering tool. So typically what you're just going to do is just going to take a new battery, a freshly charged one, or you can go to Radio Shack or go anywhere and just buy a battery, plop it in there. And then it comes the tricky part of soldering this little bitty piece back into the lead right there. So you want to solder that back in while keeping the strip going straight across the battery. Kind of like that. Okay, now what I'm going to be doing is attaching this lead to this motherboard, or the Game Boy Color game. Take a look over here at the motherboard. I've already placed my battery on positive and down on the lead, and you'll see the positive and negative where the leads are supposed to go. Okay, so I'm going to take my negative lead. I'm going to try and place it, because there's the lead where I have to solder it back in, and then I have to attach it down to the battery like that. So once again, I'm going to grab my 0.15 inch diameter solder, very thin. Don't need, kind of need a lot of it sometimes, but we'll see how this works. Alright, so I'm going to soften up the area, the solder that's already there, and try to stick my lead. Well, I'm going to put some more solder on there because the stock amount is not enough anymore. Here literally probably goes nothing. There we go. Soldered in. Doesn't look pretty, but it's going to do the job. There goes the battery. You can see that it soldered it in right there to that lead, and it's kind of sticking up right now. But let's try and see if we can get the battery in now. I think I'm going to use some electrical tape. So I've got a little bit here. I'm going to put over the battery and the lead. That works brilliantly. There you have it. Got that all electrical taped up. So the battery is firmly pressed against both leads right now, and hopefully that'll work. Now I'm going to put it all back together. Got the case right here. Very easy to fix. Put back in its case. Slide that in the bottom. Top half goes in there. Bring it down a little bit. It will click in. But since I've got the tape, it's a little bit of resistance. There we go. There we go. Clicked it back in. Looks all normal. Good to go. Except for that screw. But yet again, I'm not going to worry about that screw right now because I'm going to do a quick test. And let's turn it around and see what happens. Now remember, the key here is not just to get the game to work. It's to get the save files to save after about 5 minutes of the game being off. We're going to go ahead and create a new game. And we're just going to skip through most of this. Alright, so we're going to save it. Now we've played a little bit. We know that we're 13 minutes in. So I'm going to go ahead and shut off the game. Now we're going to wait a little bit of time. Okay, so I'm going to pull the cartridge out. I'm going to set the cartridge back in there. We're going to turn it back on. Alright, loading up. And there's that continue. At the very top, continue, new game options. So it looks like this is a successful operation all in all. And please post in the bar below if you like what you see. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I hope you learned a little something about Game Boy games and how to switch out components.